what do you guys make? I mean, obviously, like GameStop is the big news of the week, and is this revolutionary direct action that's going to like bring down capitalism? What do you think, fellas?
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, you know what? I mean, every other time someone has said that about something, it hasn't been true. But I got a feeling that this one's different.
Yeah, I think we're due. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm going to say. Yes. No, I mean, like, this is nothing new. If you know anything about the creation of mortgage-backed securities and the Solomon Smith Barney shop in the 80s, as detailed by Michael Lewis's Liar's Poker, it's always been Reddit guys who figure out the market. Like, whenever, like, any, like, skinny Ivy Leaguer that everyone thought was a genius, it turns out those guys have just been moving around money to give to Jeffrey Epstein for the last 30 years. Guys like Glenn Dubin and Leanne Black, who people thought were geniuses. It turns out they were just spending $1 billion on a pedophilia and Mossad ring. And then they were like, okay, we're holding you guys accountable. You can't come to work anymore. And they were like, I
get to keep the money, though, right?
Yes. But the real geniuses, and by geniuses, I mean guys who figure out like cracks in the system that put off losses for somebody else somewhere down the line, are Reddit guys. They're big, fat, fucking obnoxious middle-class and origin guys who do epic food challenges and prank each other and use meme as a verb and, have a red hair dye wife who they have Game of Thrones sex with. Close their eyes and pretend she's Carrie from Mythbusters. But it is good. The two guys that lost the most on this are Ken Griffin and Steve Cohn. Ken Griffin is a Chicago area hedge fund guy. He's the Citadel guy. He's a huge piece of shit, like massive school privatization guy, just every evil thing you can think of. Obama wanted him to be Secretary of Education, apparently.
Nice.
And Steve Cohn, I mean, we've talked about Cohn before. He's the current owner of the Mets, but what I know Cohn from his days at SAC Capital, his hedge fund in Greenwich, he tried to bimbo-fy an employee. He, like, gave an employee, like, a male employee, like, he, like, secretly gave him estradiol to research a company. Which is, like, come on, man. You, like, can't do that.
I just think,
yeah, those guys, I mean, they'll be fine. Both those guys have, like, 10-figure fortunes, but it is nice to see them lose a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way to like just sort of contextualize the GameStop Robinhood debacle, and like by the way, Robinhood as of yesterday, they stopped trading all GameStop, AMC, and Nokia stocks, and then as of today, they're selling their users GameStop stocks for their own good. They're like taking stocks held in by the people who bought them through Robinhood, and they're selling their stocks for them because of market volatility.
Wait a minute, Robinhood wouldn't do that. Have they been lying about their whole deal this whole time? They aren't actually for the little guy?
No, yeah, Robinhood started because Ken Griffin, one of the most evil people alive, was like, everyone should be able to buy stocks for free.
Well, yeah. Isn't Robinhood's whole model like based on selling user data to hedge funds before they execute like market trades, so that they they basically have an advanced view of where the market is going before the trades are
and those are the people who've made most of the money off of this whole GameStop thing. The real money has been made by like BlackRock and other hedge funds that have the data and are like moving towards the action because that's who always makes the money.
BlackRock isn't a hedge fund.
Right.
BlackRock, closer to a mutual fund company, but like you're not.
They've made $2.5 billion off of it.
Right. Well, that's the thing. No one's ever going to beat BlackRock.
Yeah.
Beating BlackRock, it's like, you're not going to beat the owl at the boat.
Well, they will change the rules because they make the rules. Like people talk about, they say, you need to realize that that Wall Street is just a casino. It's like, yes, but it's a casino where they are rigged all the games and where half of the people you think you're playing with are the owners of it.
Yeah, the Reddit guys, they're like me when I go into the slots floor. And it's like, as good as I do, I'm never going to do as good as the casino.
Well, Matt, you said the other day, I liked it, where you said no one should be allowed to post about this GameStop shit unless they can explain the ending of Trading Places. But yes. Jussie, you can explain the ending of Trading Places. So, break it down for us.
Well, it was the pork bellies, right?
No, frozen concentrated orange juice.
Right, and the Amici and what's his face, Ralph Bellamy were the pork belly future pushers. But
no, they were like commodities brokers,
right?
And they were going to corner the market on frozen concentrated orange juice because they had early access to a USDA crop report about how many oranges there would be in the Florida harvest that year,
and
then they were going to use that to get all of the futures at a high price. But then Billy Ray Valentine and Winthrop, got in ahead of them. And got it and switched it with a different one that told the opposite,
and pulled that shit on the floor of the stock exchange too.
Yeah.
So none of you got it right. So what they were going to do is they were going to make a viral tweet. They were going to pay like a 19-year-old with like sort of like blue highlights to post like, yeah, y'all, men who drink concentrated frozen orange juice are Aries and they're abusers. They have abuser vibes. And then every trader would be like, oh, I don't want to be an abuser. And no one would buy orange juice. And then, the
important part about Trading Places, though, in this scheme, though, is that crucial to the frozen orange juice concentrate short, they had to make sure that the principal from Breakfast Club is fucked by a gorilla.
It's necessary.
And that principle, that's the small retail investor. That's what these hedgies and these fat cats are doing to us every day.
That was the most upsetting thing in the movie. A gorilla would not sexually assault an adult human.
It's true. They're gentle creatures.
Yeah.
They're not fucking dolphins.
Yeah, dolphins are Me Too guys. Dolphins are like predators and have abuser vibes. Gorillas don't.
Gorillas are the Good Men Project.
Yeah. Yes. Look at how one of my favorite gorillas, Momotaro, treats his son Kintaro. That's not a rapist.
I guess the way to think about all this is that, I mean, this is basically what you're seeing here is just like two parts of capital fight each other over who's winning and losing money at the moment. And like, you don't necessarily have to think that like this is all good or that one side is going to be like offer some hope for like a better, like more equitable socialist future. But it doesn't mean you can't root for one side when this thing happens. And as far as that goes, how could you not be on the side of the Reddit guys against these fucking hedge funds for this shit?
Yeah,
because it's just because watching CNBC over the last few days was like really funny,
very telling,
because it was just the breakdown in the simulation where they're just like, oh, like these guys on Reddit, they're manipulating the stock market, and like that's our job. And it's just like like if you're a hedge fund, you can manipulate the stock market. If you're a fucking vulture fund, you can like use these momentum plays, which is what they're saying is bad about this the GameStop thing, to literally tank the economy of a country like Argentina or Puerto Rico with like murderous real world effects. Like they're talking about like people's lives ending because of this, and like that's totally cool. That's legal. That's the market being efficient. That's just like that's making sure our pricing mechanisms stay, reflect reality. But it's just this thing is like all we have now is the spectacle because as I think we've been talking about the show. I think basically everybody understands that politics is over and there is just basically there's only capital. So when something like this happens and like the spectacle like breaks containment for like a few days or a couple hours. I think it's important. I think it's fun to watch it like rapidly try to recreate the boundaries of what is and isn't acceptable, or like what is in the illusion and outside of it. Because it's just like right now, it's just like the way they were like just literally selling people shares of GameStop stock. They're like, oh we can do that now. Yeah, you thought you bought this stock. Oh, actually, we're going to make it illegal to buy a stock and make it so that you can only sell it. Like that's normal. That's like a natural part of market, the free market efficiencies. But it's just funny to like, because it just reveals to everyone that like what everyone already knows, which is that like stocks do not reflect anything like the real value of a company. Like GameStop is still more accurately priced than fucking Tesla is right now.
Yeah.
None of this matches up with any like real world value or economic output or production or anything like this. It is all just a casino. And but like you said, like you're right, Matt. That's not even a good metaphor because like the house always wins in the casino, but like the house can't change the rules of poker while you're playing it.
Yeah,
that's more like it. I was thinking yesterday that it was like the idea that I had was the boy who cried wolf of Wall Street. That for the last year or so, we've been told, that it's not a problem when thousands of people die every day of the virus. Like there was a dip in the market for a couple of months, but then it popped back up. And that, there's all this stuff that you're supposed to accept is fine and that the stock market can handle. All this horrible stuff that you're seeing every day, all this death, all this job loss. And then when some nerds rinse a hedge fund, everyone's freaking out about how this is actually a problem for the economy.
And when you saw these fucking ghouls on CNBC being like, I think these people should really think long and hard about who the victims in this is. You know, it's not just fun and games. And it's just like I tweeted about this, but it reminds me of the. Do you guys remember the controversy that happened when Fox aired The Magician's Secrets Revealed?
Yes.
And all the magicians got mad.
We're gonna kill that fucking guy.
All the people at the LA's magicians' castles were like putting out hits on the masked magician who was like spilling the beans on Fox, and like that's what it's like on fucking CNBC or Fox Business when this shit happens. And like I said, it's just the spectacle breaks down for like a half a day or two, and then what's funny though is to watch how out of pocket things get when they try to reform, like I said, redraw the lines and just bring everything in because
they can't get rid of all of it. Like they can't just say okay, no more options trading because that's literally like how this whole thing is keep going. That's where the actual momentum is. So they can't just ban it. They have to find a way to make it look like they're addressing a problem without showing it, without just admitting, we are just specifically doing this to stop you regular fucking peasants from doing any of this anymore, which is what it's actually going to be. And so it's going to be a delicate little dance to get there.
It's like you weren't supposed to make that money.
Yeah. And I understand it's kind of eye-rolly when people see stuff like this and go, this is the revolution. This is the beginning of Americans coming to realize that they're being screwed and that the economy doesn't work. And this is the first step towards some sort of revolt that challenges capitalism. And while I don't think that's true, I understand why people go there, not just because they feel desperate, because in this post-political era, these kind of things, these over-spectacleizations where people get too invested in this spectacle and that, as you said, breaks containment. That's what we have instead of any actual political ferment in this country. This is what we get instead of that. And so when we see it, we take it to be sometimes revolutionary because it's the only game in town.
And like when these things happen though, like for the brief 48 hours or so where these fucking vampires felt like the slightest bit of fear, it's things like this that are like the only thing that actually moves the needle. It's not politics, it's not protesting, it's like really fucking like making them shake in their boots. And that's not to like shit on anyone who's like organizing or engaged in politics. What I'm saying is it's easy to look at this thing as like, oh wow, like this is actually what matters in our society. And I think if you're looking at like the any like political hope of this, like the only thing with any like certainty you can really say about this is that like across the political spectrum, like no matter who you are, like most people when they see shit like this or they try to like metabolize it in their worldview, one thing is clear, and that is that like almost every American would be totally fine and just actively celebrate if like every hedge fund and Wall Street firm were parodied tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, I just think it's like, despite the fact that everyone knows this to be true or would like actively celebrate a parody style event of BlackRock Capital or many other firms like them, the thing is like none of those people have political representation. Like those aren't the people you vote for. Those are the people who run the Republican or the Democratic Party. So like coincidentally, one of the most major political feelings in the country has no representation or voice at all. Like, look at Janet Yellen. She made $7 million when she was like out of politics, giving speeches to firms like Citadel.
Yeah, but she's an expert. She definitely gave them $7 million of valuable information in her lecture to them. Are you saying a woman shouldn't be paid for the value of her labor? That's high key sus.
Just one last thing though before we get into the movie mindset with Jesse here. As long as you're talking about paying people for the value of their labor, we talked about Leon Black earlier. So apparently that $158 million that he gave to Jeffrey Epstein was just for estate planning.
Yeah, and like when the New York Times like runs that and is like, Leon Black under fire for giving Jeffrey Epstein $158 million for estate planning. It's like, do you want people to be conspiracy theorists? Like, do you really, is that what it is? Is that what that costs? $158 million for fucking tax advice?
And also, like, even like, in the New York Times article, they say like, oh, well, that tax advice or like the creative ways that he estate plan for Leon Black saved him like $2 billion or something like that. Even if that's true and that is worth $158 million, do you think billionaires like Leon Black, like Jeffrey Epstein, is like the only guy they can talk to?
He's the only one who knows how to avoid.
He's the only one who knows how to
taxes.
avoid taxes. It's not like like billionaires. It's like their entire fucking existence is predicated upon knowing how to do shit like that.
Yeah,
it's like, no, Epstein's the only one.
Especially Leon Black, who like came from a pretty rich family, had been in private equity for a very long time, had a billion guys like that at his fucking disposal. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with fucking Les Wexner, where it's like, oh yeah, no, look, it's just a normal relationship where he gave this guy power of attorney while he was alive. don't look into it, citizen.
And a mansion.
Yeah, no. Same thing with fucking Mr. I Bought My Wife, Mr. Glenn Dubin. Yeah, no, just a normal look. Everyone buys their wife sometimes.
Yeah,
everyone tries to sell their daughter to their friend sometimes.
Well, like I said, like by Monday, like everyone who bought GameStop stock will be absolutely wiped out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the coolest thing anyone has done on the modern internet. Like, it's fucking, like, what do people on Twitter do? Just, like, dot at McDonald's and be like, fuck you. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure some of them are bad people, but, like, everyone's a bad person. Well, I don't give a shit. I hope that, like, some of them made out well and that they, like, can, like, get a cameo from the Mythbusters. That they can pay the Mythbusters to, like, be at their birthday party.